All right, so how's everybody doing today? So, this is a video that I talked about during the season that I was going to do. So stick around. I think you're going to have some fun. Real quick here, you'll notice New Jersey, okay? Brand new jersey, brand new hat, okay? So we got Jason got me the hat. Tom got me the jersey. I opened it up on the live stream the other day. Much appreciated, guys. This is nice and comfy. I like this one. Oh, this is so much more comfy than the Mackenzie Weegar jersey that is hanging up over there. And so now when I want to wear the new jersey, I can wear it free of the repercussions of even breathing the Mackenzie Weegar juju. And then it was Jason got Kyle and I both each one of these hats. So feeling good, looking good. Now, before we get started, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button for me, all right? Let's get that arc going back up. Okay, so title of the video is something along the lines of what would a team of former Florida Panthers look like. Now, this is not, this is purely entertainment, okay? This is not, with the exception of one guy, with the exception of one guy, this is not anything of I wish I had that guy back type of thing or any. It's not a knock on the players that we have now. I just, over the last couple of years, have thought, what would a team of former Florida Panthers look like? Now, we've got a few rules here, okay? Now, here's the rules. The first rule is no players that we got at the trade deadline that we did not re-sign, okay? So no Claude Giroux, Ben Chirao, okay? None of those players are involved with this team, all right? The next rule is they must have played at least one NHL game for us, okay? So there's some guys that we drafted that never played for us. So anybody on this list has to have played at least one NHL game for the Panthers. They must also be currently playing in the NHL, okay? Now, when I get into the defense, I'll tell you, I had to bend the rules a little teeny tiny bit for that. But as long as they played during the 22-23 season, they can make the team. And the last rule is nobody that we just lost this year. So you're not going to see Duke, you're not going to see Gudis, because that's too easy. All right, I did some work on this, and I've got a couple interesting stats at the end of the video that I think were actually kind of cool. All right, so we're gonna go with the lines first. Now, I didn't do left-right combinations. Okay, I just put the lines together as best as I thought they might fit. But you might have some righties and lefty issues. You know, I'm dealing with a limited supply here. Okay, so the top line actually, the top line involves the one guy I wouldn't mind having back. So you've got Trocheck with Huberdeau and Marchessault, and I would not mind having Jonathan Marchessault back, as you guys know. All right, imagine a line with Barkov, Verhaeghe, and Marchessault. Okay. So that's your top line there. Trocheck, Huberdeau with Marchessault. I think that's not all that bad, right? As you're going to notice as we go here, especially at least forward-wise, the team is not. It's not anything like, oh my God, it's a dumpster fire until you get to the defense. All right, so the second line is Jared McCann with Owen Tippett and Riley Smith. All right, these guys scored a lot of goals, and I'm going to get into that a little bit later. But, you know, you look at that top, I mean, that's a legitimate top six. There are plenty of teams, I believe, that would love to have that. Now, I know Trocheck probably isn't, you know, he's not the prototypical top center. You know, some of you might rather put McCann up there and put Trocheck at 2. But again, we're dealing with a limited supply. But your top six are Trocheck, Huberdeau, and Marchessault, and then Jared McCann with Owen Tippett and Riley Smith. I mean, Owen Tippett had, I think it was 27 goals. Let me check my little cheat sheet over here. Owen Tippett had 27 goals last year, guys. Okay, and McCann had 40. All right, McCann had 40. So this is nothing to sneeze at just yet here. Okay, so third line, Nick Bjugstad with Mason Marchment and Mike Hoffman. That's where you start get a little bit debatable. I know people aren't, Hoffman's not exactly a two-way guy, but beggars can't be choosers. These are the guys that, we can make a team from. Marchment didn't have a great season last year, but certainly Bjugstad with Marchment and Hoffman is a viable third line. Okay? It may not be exactly the line that you would want if you're looking to win a Stanley Cup, but it's not so shabby here. All right? So now you look at the top 9 and you're thinking, okay, if you iced this team, right, there's definitely worse teams that you could ice, all right? So, I'm going to go right over to the fourth line. Noel Acciari with Lawson Krause and Frank Vetrano. Now, Vetrano didn't have a whole, he's not really what you would consider a fourth line guy so much. Lawson Krause had 24 goals. Noel Acciari had 14, okay? So, and Vetrano actually had 22 goals. I mean, you could do worse, right? Okay, you could definitely do worse if you're putting together a forward group. This is not so bad here. Now, again, I would say the only guy that I'd be interested in having on our team right now is just put Marchessault up there with Barkov and Verhaeghe, and then you can put Rodriguez in the third line. But, we got Sam Reinhart. No big deal there, right? But that's not a bad team, forward-wise. Forward-wise, this would be a very competitive team. Would you call that a playoff team? Maybe. Maybe forward-wise. I need to stress that. Forward-wise, this could be a borderline playoff team. Now, we're going to get to the defense. Now, look, in terms of the defense, it's slim pickings, okay? The Panthers have not drafted well on defense at all. To give you an example, I just had a couple things written down here, all right? Ian McCosham's the first pick in the second round in 2013. Nothing. Petrovic, all right? He's been in the AHL for the Stars the last couple years. He was our 2010 second round pick. Nothing. Now, one player that I actually had on the roster that I had to move off of the roster was Dmitry Kulikov because he's back on the team. So I made the roster a couple of weeks ago. I started to, and I finished it off this afternoon, and I realized I had to redo the defense. So without further ado, there's your top pair. There is the top pair on the yeah. So remember when it looks so good with the forwards, right? Remember when it's like, hey, that's a decent team forward-wise. Well, there's your top pair, Mackenzie Weegar and Mike Matheson. So then we're going to get to the second pair, and that's I'm not making that up, guys. That's your second pair, Josh Brown and Eric Gudbranson. Now, if Weegar and Matheson was your second pair and Brown Gudbranson was your bottom pair, it's not the end of the. I mean, it's viable. Right? Okay, that would be a viable NHL defense if that was your second and third pair. Okay? But it's not. That's your first and second pair. It's not good. And as I get to the last pair, yeah, that's where we have problems. The cupboard is bare. Okay? Stillman and Anton Stralman. Now, Stralman is where I had to cheat just a little bit. He did play, I think he had 8 games with Boston last season. Okay? He's actually the only guy out of all of these players that didn't get a goal last season. But right now, he's without a team. He's a free agent. Don't know if he's going to find a team or not. But there was nobody else There was literally nobody else. All right, Mark Pesic didn't play last year. There was a couple of other guys that I thought maybe Connaughton was in the AHL with the Kings last year, but he did not play at the NHL level. Brady Keeper is in the AHL with the Canadians, and I already mentioned Petrovic and Mikoshin. There's not much more. The cupboard is absolutely bare. Okay, so again, if you had Rieger Matheson as your second pair, Brown Gabranson as the third pair, and then you had a hell of a top pair, when you put it together with the forwards, and then when I show you the goalies, I mean, it's almost a viable playoff team, but the defense is not good enough. Now, when you get to the goalies, this is kind of easy for me. Jacob Markstrom and Devon Levi. All right, Levi, however you want to say his name. Either way, again, if you can just fix that defense up just a little bit, it's not all that far from a viable playoff team. You know, I'll look at the top. I'll look at the forwards again. I mean, Trocheck, Huberdeau, Marchessault, McCann with Tippett and Smith, Bukestad with Marchment and Hoffman, Achari, Krause, and Vetrano. I mean, that's a good team. It's not, I don't think you're going to win a cup with those guys. You get to the bottom six, that's not really, you're going to have a tough time getting through, a complete playoff run with Hoffman and Vetrano on your wings when you start talking about playoffs. But certainly, depending on the division, right, and health, that forward group at least could make the playoffs. So we went through the defense. We went through the goaltending with Jacob Markstrom and Devon Levi. A couple of interesting stats that I did the work to figure this out, guys. So that team last year scored 285 goals, and the Panthers last year scored 290. Okay? So, I mean, how odd is that it's almost exactly dead on? And then, because you're probably wondering about the reserves, the cap hit for all of the players, all of those starters, is $79,350,000. So we actually would have room, what's that, about $4 or $5 million in cap space to fill out the rest of the roster with guys that, and there's enough ex-Panthers, around that you could fill out your other, your reserves and everything. I'm curious if you guys agree in terms of the top 12 and the top 6. There's likely to be somebody that I left off, but don't forget the rules, okay? If you want to go through it yourself and try to find better solutions, don't forget the rules. There's no player that we got at the trade deadline that we did not re-sign. So guys like Claude Giroux, Ben Sherratt, Hag, and all of that can't do it. They must have played at least one NHL game for us. Oh, but I broke that rule because Devon Levi. I just realized that. Damn it. See, I'm glad I went and did this because Levi, you're probably already screaming at me. Levi did not play a game for us. Well, I'm leaving him there anyway. He can be on the reserves because otherwise you'd have to put in probably Monty, right? You'd want to put Monty in. He doesn't make a whole lot of money, so we would still have room. But yeah, Levi to not play a game for us. Damn, that's okay. We'll leave him there, all right? But yeah, if you want to go strictly by the rules, you'd have to put Monty in as the backup goaltender. They must be currently playing in the NHL. So, and then nobody, you can't put Duke, you can't put Gudis there. And you can't put Alex Lyon. That's originally what I wanted to do, was put Alex Lyon there. But so I kind of broke my own rules, but it's not the end of the world. It's just for fun. But in terms of the forwards, you guys can tell me if you think I'm crazy. I think that forward group would be borderline playoffs. That's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. You're a little bit weak there with Hoffman and Vetrano, right? So you guys let me know if you think there's somebody that you think we should replace those guys with. Any moves that we can possibly make to make that a more likely playoff group. You got the goaltending there, but the defense. Can you imagine a top pair of Mackenzie Weegar and Mike Matheson? Oh my God, that's bad. That's not good. It's not good. But that is a really good illustration of how the cupboard has been bare for the Panthers in terms of the defense. So that's it. Short and sweet. I wanted to get that one up and out. Really appreciate all the support. Like I said, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, leave a comment, share the video, and I'll see you guys all again tomorrow on the podcast.